we're going to talk about another healthy habit, and that's sugar. And those of us that have a sweet tooth and deal with all those sugar cravings all the time, and how that's going to impact your health. So what does a sweet tooth mean for your overall health? Do you think that you are someone with a sweet tooth? I know I used to be. So many of us eat way too much added sugar. They say the average person eats 17 teaspoons of sugar per day, and that's way more than the recommended amount from the CDC, which recommends that your sugar intake be no more than 10% of your daily calories. Over the past decade, sugar consumption in the USA is on the rise. According to the American Heart Association, between 2021 and 21-22, Americans actually consumed 11 million metric tons of sugar. And if you want to put that in perspective, that's an average of 60 pounds of added sugar per year per person. And to provide a visual of what that's going to look like, that's 6 10-pound bowling balls. So we have to explain and be clear that there's a difference between what's considered added sugar and the naturally occurring type of sugar. A lot of fruits, vegetables, grain, and dairy all have naturally occurring sugars in them, but they also, when you eat the whole food, contain high amounts of fibers, minerals, and protein. So consuming carbohydrates with this type of sugar, fruits, vegetables, grain, and dairy, is better than processed sugar and more beneficial to your body. For instance, fruits, vegetables, and whole grains tend to release the sugar content slowly during our digestive process, which offers a slow and steady supply of energy to our cells. It's not bombarding the body where it's going to spike everything up. A high intake of fruits, vegetables, and whole grains also has been shown to reduce the risk of chronic disease, such as diabetes, heart disease, and certain types of cancer. So while eating lots of sugars from processed food actually increases your risk of diabetes, heart disease, and certain type of cancers. So remember, no more than 10% of total calories. What happens with sugar is when we get too much of the artificial or added sugars that food manufacturers add to processed food to make it taste better and extend its shelf life. The sugar is stripped down. It's void of the beneficial properties of whole foods, fruits, and vegetables. It doesn't have much fiber, much minerals, and thus highly processed sugar releases really quickly into the body and can have a detrimental effect on our overall health. And the tricky part about added sugar is it's very hidden and unsuspecting in foods. So according to Harvard Health and the American Diet, the top sources of this added sugar are soft drinks, fruit drinks, flavored yogurts, cereals, cookies, cakes, candy, pies, and most processed foods. But added sugar is also present in items that you may not think of as sweetened, like soups, bread, cured meats, and even ketchup has a lot of sugar. You know, you'll see on the ketchup label now, no high fructose corn syrup. And to be honest, our bodies aren't doing really well handling the added sugar when we look at the rise of type 2 diabetes, obesity, and heart disease. You know, many of the complications with higher sugar include those same concerns as high blood pressure, weight gain, higher risk of diabetes, overall inflammation, chronic inflammation, which is said to fuel many diseases, and even fatty liver disease. It also puts you higher for heart attack and stroke. So when we look at the top concerns of health, and then we look at how added sugars in foods is contributing to that, we need to start being conscious of our sugar consumption and start avoiding so much of this added sugar everywhere. So I just wanted to share some tips with you to help tame your sweet tooth and your cravings, because it is a healthy habit to start developing. So I always tell people to start simple, make a shift in your diet to include more whole food, plant-based foods into your regular diet, have a huge impact. Try avoid eating processed foods and read labels carefully for those of you who choose to eat processed foods. Look on the label. If it says 28 grams of sugar per serving, that's an ounce. And if you were to measure out an ounce of sugar, it's a huge amount in a baggie. And anything that includes ingredients such as corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup, brown sugar, fruit juice concentrates, malt sugar, molasses, all those have hidden sugars in them as well, and that can contribute to your overall daily sugar intake. Also, like I said earlier, note the number of grams of sugar per serving. 28 grams equals an ounce. So start checking the labels on your packages of what a serving is, how much sugar's in it, and how many other ingredients are in it. And of course, my favorite saying, anybody that knows me will tell you that before I got sick last year, I always said, I'm not eating any candy, cookie, cakes, and pies. I've gone back to that, and the first 30 days are really rough going out that sugar. I lost a lot of weight during the pandemic last year when I got sick, and I kind of got a little lax on my diet. So now I'm back full force and working out my 5 days a week again. So really, really watch your sugar. Make sure you get adequate sleep. Make sure you're getting up and walking 3 to 5 times a week. And have fun in life. Take part in healthy activities and hobbies that you like to do that are going to contribute to your overall health. And, it's okay to have a sweet tooth once in a while to satisfy that craving. I know when I go to eat something sweet, I really want to make sure that it's going to be worth it. So is it a home-baked chocolate chip cookie? Because I'm not eating any of the packaged stuff. And just tell the sweet tooth fairy to just visit you occasionally from now on. If you do have trouble with it, I use NSP Stixated. I'll put a link in the post comments. And if you're really serious about learning more about creating healthy habits, I do have my free 13-week Healthy Habits Challenge. You can just click on the post on my Facebook page or grab it on the website. It's a 13-week program where I send you emails and gives you tips and tricks on how to create really healthier habits. So I hope that this information helped you, and you're going to be a little bit more conscious on how much sugar you're eating. So thanks for joining me, and I'll see you in a couple weeks, and we'll be talking more about the circulatory issue. Thanks.